So welcome to The Great Indoors. Today we're discussing from MWC 2025, the world of MVNOs, mobile virtual network operators, and the rise of MVNEs. The E stands for enabler in this acronym that powers them. We're chatting with leaders from AT&T, one of the largest and most trusted telecom providers in the world, who's now opening up its infrastructure to enable this new generation of mobile-powered experiences. And MVNE.pl, which is a smaller emerging player based out of Poland, providing turnkey MVNO enablement in Central and Eastern Europe. Now, while these two may sit on opposite ends of the telecom spectrum, one a global giant, the other a nimble startup, they're both enabling a new era where any brand can launch its own mobile experience. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome to season 10 of The Great Indoors, coming to you from our stunning studio, MWC Barcelona 2025. In this season, we will continue to explore cutting-edge innovation shaping the world of connectivity, technology, and customer experience, all through the unique lens of human impact and meaningful change. I'm your host, Matt Roberts, and as ever, I'm joined by Larissa Yee. So today, as I mentioned, we've got two amazing guests from two amazing companies who are helping lead this evolution. First, from AT&T, we're joined by Stephanie Ormstrom, Head of Commercial and Product for the MVNX ecosystem. And Stephanie is a pleasure to speak to and has spent her career across IoT, big data, and media. And now she's enabling non-telco brands to integrate mobile into their services. She's doing that seamlessly, scalably, and strategically. And she talks about how storytelling, scalability, and simplicity are key to cutting through the noise. And from Poland, a country very close to my heart, for those that know me, we have Zbigniew Pawlik, or Zibi, as people who can't pronounce Zbigniew would call him, but that's also his nickname. And he's a veteran telecom executive and the founder and CEO of MVNE.pl. He's worked across Europe, the Middle East, and the Caribbean, and today he's democratizing mobile access for the people of Poland. So let's go. So welcome back to The Great Indoors, MWC 2025. My next guest I'm really excited to talk to, particularly about what she's been doing this week and her partnership with Amdocs. She's from AT&T. Her name is Stephanie Ormstrom, and she's Head of Commercial and Product at MVNX ecosystem at AT&T. So welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be here. And at the end of day 3, very happy to be part of this. Glad we're still energized, still powering through it. Yep.
Yeah, still functioning.
Even after those 8 a.m. meetings that should never be allowable.
No, exactly. And for our listeners, Stephanie, just give us a bit of your background, your history, and your journey to where you are today.
Sure, absolutely. So I've been with AT&T for 10 years. I currently lead our MVNX business, AT&T. And so really what that means is I have within my organization everything from customer success, product, platform, operations, all of the things that you really need to service our MVNOs and what we say AT&T are MVNXs as the ecosystem evolves beyond just operators into enablers, aggregators, and ultimately experiences. Yeah. And so really what we're focused on, and a big part of my charter, is to look at the way that we have historically served those MVNOs. And as they continue to evolve, as they continue to innovate, how can we make sure that we have product and platform offerings that are modern, that are scaled, that are resilient, that are agile and quick, and can keep up with the disruptive innovation that we're really seeing happening in the marketplace?
Okay, great. And so where were you before AT&T?
Yeah, well, so interestingly, throughout my career at AT&T, I've had a number of different roles across big data, Internet of Things.
You know Matt Dugan?
I do know Matt Dugan.
He was a guest last year.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, yes, know him well. So, and actually Matt and I, we go way back to AT&T's acquisition of Warner Media and when we had our Xandr advertising business. So we were both within the Xandr team. I spent some time working with Warner Media from a data privacy perspective. So all that to say, in 10 years at AT&T, I've had probably just as many, if not more, roles. Prior to that, I went to Boston University for my MBA.
Okay.
Prior to that, I was actually a Peace Corps volunteer where I served in Azerbaijan.
Wow.
Spent 3 years teaching English, arts, critical thinking, creative thinking skills there. And then I got my undergraduate degree from New York University.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So let's get into it a little bit more. So you've partnered with Amdocs on the MVNX. Just explain what an MVNX is for our listeners.
Yeah, so MVNX to us stands for Mobile Virtual Network Experiences.
Okay.
And really the X, we say, for purposes of conversation, stands for experiences, but it really is meant to represent a number of different frameworks. It's what's next, it's what's evolving, it's the intersection of innovation and scale and new and emerging ideas, as well as the legacy systems that we operate within large telcos like AT&T.
Yeah.
And so any company that really wants to embed connectivity into their value proposition to their customers can be considered and is part of this MVNX. Yeah. And so again, historically, we've seen the MVNO ecosystem evolve. So we have a lot of traditional MVNOs in that way. But what we're really starting to see emerge are digital brands and digital experiences that believe connectivity is a part of a compelling value proposition for their customers. So they want to start to bring connectivity into their offering. Yeah. They're not necessarily going to identify as an MVNO. They're not going to identify as a telco, but connectivity is something compelling from a consumer perspective that might be complementary to whatever a brand's value proposition might be to their customers. And so what we're working on building, and where Amdocs and the ConnectX platform really comes into play, is how can we make it as easy as possible for these brands to get them on board, to start to, again, innovate, to start to stand up offerings as quickly as possible without having to learn all of the nuances and intricacies and complexities of a telco.
And could you give me an example of what one of those brands might be?
Yeah. So you could imagine maybe it's a financial services platform. Yeah. So this is a platform that, could already have existing relationships with customers. They have customers who trust them because they are handling their financial transactions and banking. And now, oh, by the way, as just part of this, they could get a couple of gig of data as part of that existing relationship that the consumer has with a financial services brand. Right. Or even media and technology. We've seen this from the telco side, that we would offer value-added media and streaming services. Yeah. Why couldn't you flip that on its head? And it could be the other way around, right? Yeah. So this just becomes an interesting way to say, I have an existing relationship with a customer. It's a subscription type model. It's a monthly recurring type model. Connectivity brings some additional loyalty. It brings some additional compelling features. Let's just bundle that all together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really great. We looked at your LinkedIn profile. We did our investigations before. And we saw in your profile, and it resonated with us, that you're a storyteller. There's our whole season that we just concluded last week was all based on storytelling. Yeah. So from your perspective, why is storytelling important, and perhaps even more important right now in this world we're living in?
Yes, I love this question because it's something that I'm very personally passionate about. So especially being here at MWC, it's so overwhelming. So for anyone who's listening who has never been here, there are over 100,000 attendees. I mean, there are 6 different halls with massive booths. All of these booths have these crazy video screens, just beautiful imagery, tons of people everywhere. AI is the big conversation, so it's everywhere, right? So it's really hard to cut through that noise. It's very overwhelming. There's a lot of, what's the difference?
Dare I say homogeneity?
Could be. And I even find sometimes where I have to think back of, what booth was I at where I saw that thing? Like, how do you associate the brand with what they're doing in the technology? Yeah. And that's where good storytelling comes in. And that's where good storytelling really starts to cut through. We as an industry in telco really love our acronyms. We really do. Yeah. But we love our technical jargon.
We do.
We love talking to each other.
We love our specifications.
Yes, we do. Yeah. And they're all important and they're all great. But at the end of the day, we're serving customers. We're serving customer needs. And we're serving those most basic feelings of, I'm connected. I feel secure. I feel safe. I can talk to my loved ones. I can reach out to my family. I can go check my camera at home to make sure my dog's okay. Like whatever that is, it's a very human thing that we serve at the end of the day. Yeah. And so the stories that we tell of how we do that are really, I think, what starts to set the brands apart, because the technology innovation is crazy fast. I mean, it's incredible to me how much is happening, how much has happened since last year. Some of the customers and partners I've seen, how much has happened with them since the last time I saw them a month ago. It's so rapid. But the way that we make it meaningful and relevant is through those stories.
And so how would you tell the MVNX story for AT&T?
Yeah, the way that I talk about the MVNX story at AT&T is we are bringing together the best, the brightest disruptors who are at any level of maturity and scale within their industry, but truly believe in disruption and innovation and being at the bleeding edge of innovation for the benefit of consumers.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Now, like I said, you talked about the human side of storytelling, that human connection. And something that we've explored a lot on this podcast is how does generative AI play into that? Now, are we going to devalue human stories? Are we going to have generative AI stories that, again, go into this, what's it called, monoculture, because they'll all be homogenous effectively. What's your thought on how generative AI is playing in the storytelling realm?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of what we are seeing and the stage that we're at with generative AI right now, because it's, there's a lot of models coming out quickly. Some of them are jumping ahead of others. Some of them really aren't all that compelling release by release. But again, they're only as good as what goes into them.
Yeah.
And what goes into them at this time is stuff that humans have created. In some cases, it's stuff that the generative AI has created. But at the end of the day, somebody still had to create it first.
Yes.
So it's really this concept of creation and human innovation and human ingenuity that and human empathy that I fundamentally believe, and this is my personal belief, and some may or may not share it, but I fundamentally believe AI is not ever going to be able to replace. And those are the things that at the end of the day, it's complementary. And generative AI will make it faster and will make it easier. And generative AI can be something that you work against to edit and to curate your thoughts, which can be very beneficial. It's beneficial for productivity. It can be beneficial for artists to say, okay, help me frame this up in a way that I can then create within. But there are some core pieces of just humans and who we are that I really just don't think are ever going to be.
It's really interesting because we've examined this and spoken to lots of people, and I'm 100% in agreement with you, right? You can't just all of a sudden outsource all your storytelling to generative AI because then it loses its authenticity, emotions, its lived-in experiences, etc. But it could be that generative AI propels the art of storytelling.
Yes.
And that it enables storytellers to articulate their stories more effectively.
Absolutely.
Right?
And it could allow them to, again, frame stories or curate stories in ways that they haven't. Again, individuals who might have more difficulty expressing some of those thoughts, generative AI could unlock that for them. So there's a complementary aspect here that I agree with you. And then we get more stories.
Exactly.
Then it becomes even more personalized. You talk a lot about representation and wanting folks to feel seen in stories. So the more of them that you have in that way, the more opportunity there is for that type of connection.
No, absolutely. And you should listen to our season 9 because we had the philosopher Charles Eisenstein come on, and his thoughts on it just blew my mind.
I will absolutely.
I've never done a plug for my own podcast. This is a bit self-indulgent. If you think of your life, what was a story that was told to you that made a profound impact on your life? Now, that story could have been a song you heard, a poem you read, something maybe one of your grandparents or parents told you, a movie, a novel, a TV ad. It could be anything. And I know I've just put you on the spot then. You'll be like, okay. But can you recall any one story that's had a profound impact on your trajectory?
Yeah. So I would say I would go back to things my parents said to me when I was younger, and my mom in particular. I'm an only child, so I definitely have the only child syndrome in that way. But my mother always said to me, and would find little tchotchkes that would have this on it, but it's if you shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll still land among the stars.
Right.
Which again, when you really think about it, like the moon is closer and stars are farther away. Scientifically, it doesn't quite map. But in essence, the story being, you can try anything and you'll still land in a great place.
Yeah.
And so I think that has fueled a belief in myself that I can figure it out. And you stalked my LinkedIn profile. So I've had a pretty diverse set of experiences in my life, but they've all laddered up to what I'm doing today and where I am today. And it's just incredible.
You see, and that can't be replaced.
Exactly. And had I asked generative AI, what should I do next? I highly doubt that generative AI would have said, okay, with your theater degree, you should go teach in Azerbaijan and then go lead a business AT&T. Yeah. Pretty sure it wouldn't have really put that all together for me.
It probably wouldn't have helped too much. Exactly. Exactly. Now, let's get into the show itself. 3 days in, there's always a few takeaways that stick with you that you'll remember when you get back to Dallas. What is it you've seen over the last 3 days, one or two or however many things you think were really different this year and that will resonate with you?
What I'm liking that I'm starting to see is a greater degree of collaboration and openness between the different companies and collaborators that are here. And so that happens not only from a vendor, collaborator, partner perspective, but even when we think about, again, back to AI models in the sense of it, everybody's like, which one do you use? You have to pick one. And then you get this, okay, I have my personal model, but what if I wanted to interact with my friend's personal model in that way? And so I've seen some demos and some ideas of, well, we could get our AI models to kind of talk and tell us where to go eat dinner tonight. Yeah. That I'm interested in because that makes my life easier, but it brings those traditionally siloed things together. Yeah. And so that spirit of how do we bring these things together? How do we innovate within our lane, focus on our core competencies, but then bring our core competencies together to create something better that, again, solves customer problems. Yeah. That's where I think the magic really lies. And so I'm starting to see a lot more of that this year and in a really meaningful way. Yes. Not just a couple of logos next to each other, but deeper collaboration that is really exciting.
That's my observation as well.
Yeah.
And I think what you said there that is so unique this year, rather than just a couple of logos. Yeah, we're partners. We partner. Yeah. You can see the demonstrable partnership manifesting itself for the benefit of the industry.
Exactly.
Even yesterday, Amdocs was on stage with Ericsson and Qualcomm.
Crazy.
I know.
Crazy.
I know. And in a world of polarization and political tensions and culture wars, the industry is showing how you can come together to get stuff done, right?
Exactly. Well, and again, back to the theme of, I think, this conversation is the industry is humans. At the end of the day, it's people working together to do meaningful things. Yeah. And so it's those level of connection that is, I agree with you, more demonstrably showing through than has in the past.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything else you've seen I haven't had a chance to see much. I've been in my goldfish bowl. But anything you've seen from any vendors or anything that was really wow?
Yeah, I was going to say I have not been able to explore the booths or really walk through as much as I would like, but I did see an interesting demo with augmented reality glasses, which I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with, but I would say for me, the most interesting thing is if I could get on my airplane home and just put a pair of glasses on and watch all my movies on my flight, I would be into that. Yeah. So that is a use case that I start to see of very simply like, oh, this could work. But taking pictures and searching things while I'm walking through the world, I'm not quite on board yet, but there's a lot of innovation happening there too. That's interesting.
And do you think as well, again, coming to this show every year, we've seen things come and go pretty quick. Like 3 years ago, I think everybody was still ranting about the metaverse.
Yes.
Obviously, we've had 5G everywhere leading up to that. But generative AI is like the real deal. No, or just AI in general, rather, is...
AI's been here. I mean, AI isn't new.
But you came from the big data world.
I did. Absolutely. We've had... And again, big data as a term went out of fashion. Yeah. Machine learning was a thing. We don't really see that much. AI was a thing. Now it's generative AI. And so the labels come and go. The way that we talk about them evolves a little bit. But the technology components, we do keep building on. And we do keep building on top of.
I used to head up the big data marketing for Amdocs.
Okay.
When I was still living in London. Yeah. And I remember 10 years... Was it 10 years ago? Oh my gosh, 10 years ago. It was at the top of the hype cycle. Yeah. Big data, big data, big data, big data. Yes. Right? Data lakes, data hydration. data collectors,
course.
all these things, right?
Yeah.
But the one question they would always ask me at any show is, what's the killer use case for big data?
Of course.
And like people are still asking, what's the killer use case for 5G?
Right.
They were asking that question all the time. Like you said, it then went away.
Yeah. Yep.
But I think the killer use case is generative AI.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and to your point, is it builds on it, but it also starts to bring things together.
Yeah.
And I think it's the big data, it's the 5G low latency as you start to, it's the cloud. I mean, it's all those things.
It's all those technologies that coalesce and we're looking for something.
Yes.
I've now found
Yeah.
this. And I think it's my favorite word of the week. I've already used it on one episode is autocatalytic.
Oh.
It's feeding on itself.
Yes.
So it's this unstoppable force that's just feeding, like you said before, it's got it's like having a conversation with all of human recorded history and knowledge. But then it continues to feed off that and just become more and more, I don't know what the word is, powerful. Yeah. Excellent. Well, listen, Stephanie, this is how we finish the podcast.
Okay.
Right. And it's our quickfire round called TGI to go, where I'm going to give you 2 or 3 options.
Okay.
And you're just going to give me your preference back.
Right.
So it lets us know a little bit
Sure.
about yourself. And we end then on a nice high discussion note. And I haven't been stalking your LinkedIn to get these.
Not at all.
These are completely randomized. TGI to go. So the first one, do you use ChatGPT, Gemini Advanced, or DeepSeek?
Have I used or do I have a preference?
Both.
I've used the first 2. I have not had the opportunity to play with DeepSeek yet. Of the first 2, I don't have a preference. It does sort of depend.
Yeah. But is it not interesting as well? I think, obviously, ChatGPT was 3 years old this year.
Yeah.
And then the MWC that came round after its release in November, we didn't really talk about it much.
Right.
MWC last year, everybody was going crazy about it. But when I was asking people that type of question, there was almost a shame, a guilt if they admitted to using it. Like they were cheating or something. And they're like, well, I'm already a writer, so I don't need to use it. But I have used it almost in like apologetic terms.
That's really fascinating.
But now, 12 months on, everyone's like, yeah, I'm using it for this. It's doing this for me. It's doing this. So there's almost that guilt factor has gone away. That's something I've noticed for most people.
That's interesting. And again, I wonder if there is, because again, there is, for creators, for innovators, there can be a little bit of a shame or guilt of I've used a tool to help me in that way. Like I want the brilliance to be attributed to me and me alone.
Yes.
And I think again, as we start to see, no, it's become more commonplace to use. Again, I use ChatGPT on freeform stuff, and then Gemini is just like, as it's embedded into certain tooling, it's just there and it's easier. So it's kind of just different use cases in that way.
Yeah.
But I think we're starting to see it not as a replacement, but as an augment.
Yes.
And that's where I think some of those feelings around it start to go away. And people are like, oh, okay, it's actually me staying ahead of my game if I learn how to use this intelligently.
And it just got me thinking, did people feel guilty about using spell check? No, I know my spelling. I don't need... I don't know, I'm just thinking.
I have to imagine that there is some level of purity of, no, I'm going to write this novel with a pen and paper, and I'm not going to use a typewriter. Like there probably were some folks that just was their process. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, this next question's a little strange, but it has got some interesting answers this week. Do you prefer to ballet dance or flamenco?
Ooh. So it's funny. So I grew up dancing. So I've taken many ballet classes in my life. I am definitely more on, I would say, the flamenco preference as I've grown older. We could probably read into that psychologically on a number of levers of wanting less structure, probably having a little bit more rage and anger, pent up in that. But
I've had 2 guests today that do flamenco dancing. When I ask them, well, I'm a flamenco dancer.
Of course, I mean, we're in Spain.
Now, do you prefer to work from home, or are you back in the office now?
So we are back in the office 5 days a week.
5 days a week?
Yep.
Wow.
So I find that I actually love the collaborative aspect. I'm somebody who likes to bounce ideas off of other people. I'm somebody who thrives from being in those conversations and is able to really generate more ideas more quickly with having people around in that way. So I quite enjoy it. So I find that when we were working from home more often, I would kind of lose that social aspect.
Yes,
and so it's been nice
yeah.
to have people that we can, again, spend time with, make decisions faster and come up with more ideas.
Awesome. Now, if you could go hiking or biking, which one would you do?
I would go hiking because I prefer the scenic vistas of being on a mountain, and you don't want me mountain biking. That would be a terrible idea. So I'd go for a hike. I'd hike up to a nice vista, see if I could see the ocean or something like that. Like that would be the vibe. Yeah.
Nice. Now you could have a drink later on, and we're in Barcelona.
We are.
Would you have a glass of cava or a glass of sangria?
Oh, that's hard. Does depend. It probably depends on what I'm pairing
You
it
can
with.
have both, by the way.
But I suppose I would start with the cava. Less sugary, less sweet. So I think the cava would be a nice.
You'd kick it off with that.
Yeah.
You'd kick it off with that. That's good. So that's all our TGI to go questions. Thank you, Stephanie. It's a nice way to end it. Now, before we sign off today, are there any points for our listeners or anything you'd like to impart on the world?
I don't think there's anything in particular. I've enjoyed the themes of our conversation today, just as the idea of how does technology really start to sit alongside humanity and really what we're trying to do. And I would say largely that's how we look at it within AT&T, within our ecosystem, and even within our partnership with ConnectX and Amdocs. Is it's really, we're trying to abstract the technological complexities in such a way that brands can do what they're good at and serve their customers in a way that their customers want to be served. And so they don't have to think about the deep telco embedded pieces. And so I think all of these themes really, really highlight and come together in a very nice way. So that balance, that yin and yang of technology and humanity that we're all trying to strike, I suppose.
I have a term that Larissa knows this, she's listening to. My term on this is storytelling is the last bastion of humanity.
Oh, I love it. Yep.
So the book will be out about 6 months now, so I'll send you a copy.
I say thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Credit me in your intro.
I will do. So thank you, Stephanie. Of
course.
Wonderful. It's been a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for answering
Great to meet you as
the
well.
questions.
Of course.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.
So welcome back, MWC 2025, day two, and really excited about our next guest who's going to join the show today. He's come all the way from Poland on a yacht. We can get into that and talk about that in a second. But he's also going to tell us about the MVNO market in Poland and a venture that he has established, which is hugely successful in partnership with Amdocs. So, Zbigniew
Zibi, just call me Zibi.
Yeah, who's the founder and CEO at MVNE.pl. So welcome to the great indoors, Zibi.
Thank you.
Or should I say Dzień dobry?
Dzień dobry works very well.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm sure your wife is already pleased.
She's pleased already, that's it, we've done that now. So tell us, Zibi, a little bit about your role, a bit about your history, your journey today in the industry.
Oh, so I've been in telco almost my entire professional life. I was working for MNO in Poland, part of the launch team of a second brand before the second brands became popular for the MNOs.
Yeah.
I worked in Dubai, where I was part of the launch team again of Du, which is the second telecom provider in Dubai. A hugely successful venture. We started at $150 million turnover. When I was leaving the company, it was north to $3 billion.
Wow.
And also amazing journey, seeing Dubai, experiencing Dubai as it grew to what it is today. So it was an amazing journey.
Yeah.
After that, we were planning to go back to Poland with my wife and my daughters. We came across this interesting opportunity to explore Caribbean. So I moved to Jamaica, lived 2 years in Kingston and 1 year in St. Lucia.
Nice, very nice. All these sunny places here.
Oh,
Dubai,
yeah,
Jamaica, St. Lucia.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Working for Dennis O'Brien for Digicel, I was also responsible there for mobile business and for the mobile turnaround.
Yeah.
Where actually across multiple markets, because Digicel never sleeps. It was
Yes.
at that time from Fiji, Vanuatu of the world to the Caribbean to the La Réunion.
Yeah.
Quite a wide
Yeah.
geographical span.
And working hard at Digicel.
Oh yeah.
For Dennis.
It was very very exciting. But I really appreciate the opportunity, and also Dennis.
Yeah.
And his leadership was a great experience, fantastic.
Okay.
After that, I was involved in a couple of e-commerce projects, and finally, on a yacht actually, in 2023 on a yacht, I decided that it's time to realize my dream and launch a new MVNO, and something that will be a culmination of my experiences, bringing all the pieces of the puzzle together and create something that is better than anything that I have done before. And that journey actually started in Portugal, actually in the middle of Atlantic, when we were sailing from Portugal to Szczecin, which is in Poland.
I got married near Stettin.
Oh, wow.
I got married 10 miles from Stettin.
10 miles from Szczecin.
Yeah. In Stargard.
Stargard. Szczecin.
Yeah.
So you know the place.
I know it.
Yeah, we sailed there. It took us 3 weeks of brutal sailing. And in the middle of Atlantic Ocean, I said, okay, now I'm ready.
Right.
After experiencing the storm, experiencing the loneliness of staying on the deck, I said, okay, it's time for me now to do my own thing. And immediately after, so in July, we started building the new MVNO. We started building with a partner. And within 6 months, we were almost ready to launch, but our aggregator, the partner that we were integrating with, was very close to failure, and I couldn't take a risk of putting all the marketing dollars behind the platform to would collapse.
Yeah.
So we put a hard stop, and the project stopped for a year. And then I started looking around saying, what can we do to actually bring it to life? And almost a year ago, more than a year ago, January last year, I decided that I'm going to move forward and trying to find a new aggregator or new MVNE platform in Poland. I found that there is none.
Right.
So, if there is none, then somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
So I did it.
Yes.
We started the project last year. Within very short time frame, I recruited a fantastic COO, Sebastian Kowalczyk. He's part of, or first member of my team.
Yeah.
We built the relationship. We had a relationship with MNOs. We started looking for a platform, and very soon we started talking to Amdocs.
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple of months, we are in June, we have MNO agreement already signed, we have Amdocs agreement already signed, and we move on to implementation.
Right.
With a vision that we need to do something better on the MVNE front as well. What we want to do and what MVNE.pl wants to achieve is to open up the market, to make it easier and simpler to bring new MVNOs to life.
Yeah.
To convert business ideas and the business that is already exists, to convert it into new MVNOs and new ways to engage customers, new way to interact with customers as well, extracting extra dollar from the entire venture. Fast forward 6 months, we are here and celebrating our launch of the commercial launch of our platform.
And when does the commercial launch officially?
The platform technically is up and running, and we are in the last stages of launching or last stages of testing of our MVNO.
Yeah.
Within this month, I believe we are going to have our first MVNO live.
Right.
And soon after, a couple of others will follow, because we already have quite a developed pipeline for the new MVNOs and new ventures coming to life, both from within Poland, and also we have quite a few engagements ongoing with potential MVNOs coming from outside Poland that will also become MVNOs.
Oh, excellent. Congratulations, it sounds like. And I can see visibly you're excited and happy about this.
I'm really, really excited about the venture.
Awesome. So let's go back to Poland. What's unique about the MVNO market in Poland?
If you look at the MVNO markets in general in Europe, a typical MVNO market will have north to 10% share of MVNOs in terms of the customer market share or value share.
Yeah.
In Poland, it has not been a successful venture so far. MVNOs are reported to have around 3% market share, even less on the value share side. And most of the ventures have been already bought out by MNOs or have not been successful. What we believe,
But why is that then? What's
what happened?
Yeah.
I think that it comes from the three barriers that every MVNO that tries to launch in Poland, and my last year's failure also is part of that. It's very difficult to set everything up and build everything. From one side, you will have to have a technical capability and technical platform to do it, and this also requires investment. The second element is that MVNOs will have to have capability in terms of bringing together all the elements of the ecosystem, be it payments, be it customer care, being logistics. And all of these pieces of the puzzle, when you add them together, create a significant effort on the investment side. A typical launch of the MVNO in Poland would be around 300,000 to 500,000 euros and will take around a year to develop.
Yeah.
What we want to do with MVNE.pl and leveraging a ConnectX platform as our core system, we want to reduce the cost from those, let's say, 250,000 euros minimum to 25,000 euros.
Right.
So we are going to have it 10 times cheaper. And instead of having a 1 or 1.5 year project, what we want to do is for the large scale MVNOs, we want to bring them to life within 3 months.
Wow.
And that means that businesses that were not able, or it actually didn't make sense for them to start or take the risk of launching a new, now can.
Yes.
Because the effort is so much smaller.
You're completely de-risked and decomplicated, if you will.
And on top of that, what we do is we bring to the table not only technical platform, not only wholesale agreement, but we bring the entire support system.
Yeah.
Which means that a new MVNO requires a really skeleton crew and a good business model, good business idea to actually realize the gains.
Yeah.
You can outsource to MVNE.pl literally everything. We have our own shared service center that supports customer care. We do the logistics, we do regulatory affairs. We give you all the templates for everything. So practically, you have a business, you have the group of followers, you have 1 million followers on Instagram, you can become an MVNO in Poland.
Wow. So that would be the hypothetical example here. I'm living in Poland. My wife has convinced us to move back to Poland from Canada.
Which is a fantastic idea.
I've got $25,000 in my back pocket.
And a brilliant
idea. Right. I can come to you, ZB, and you can hook me up.
Yeah, the first thing that we will do, Matthew, in this case, we will discuss your idea.
Okay.
We will take you on the journey where we will discuss the idea. We'll analyze it together, and we will challenge with you. I will challenge the idea in order to make sure that even the 25K investment is viable for you, if it is going to make sense for you, right?
Yeah.
Because what I want to make sure is that our customers and our MVNOs, our partners, have a significantly higher chance of succeeding.
Yes.
We want them to win.
Yeah.
Because every time they win, we win.
Yeah.
So, you come to the country, you bring $25,000, you have a brilliant idea, we discuss the idea together, we bring all the pieces of the puzzle, and then we set it up.
Yeah.
We can get you up and running, and also leveraging the ConnectX capabilities. We already have our white label app, we have our white label self-care. So basically, the longest thing that will take time for you to launch is actually ordering a SIM card. Wow. But if you want to do eSIMs, you can do even faster than 3 months.
Wow. That's incredible. That's why you're so excited about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see.
I can see
that I'm really excited about it because I believe this is going to change the market.
Yeah.
In the same way as if you look in 1990s, at the very beginning of telco, we had only postpaid and contracts.
Yes.
And then at some point in time, the market was opened up to everyone, to the general public, using prepaid as a service, which significantly reduced the cost of entry for the customer and opened up market, and suddenly everybody was running with a mobile phone.
Yes.
In the same way, I believe with 10x reduction on time and cost and significantly higher reduction of risk, because you are investing literally in the skeleton crew, you can take risk, you can set up a new business, and you can create a new revenue stream for yourself in the business.
Where do you see things 12 months from now? If everything goes Awesome.
In the ideal world, if everything goes awesome, I believe we'll have several implementations of MVNOs. We will have partners that will be proudly standing with and celebrating their successes. We will have changed the way people think of MVNOs as a concept that is relatively old, I would say, that can be reimagined and reinvigorated back to the market. For the customers, it's only the gains, because every MVNO that we bring to life creates opportunity for them to have a new way to engage with their favorite brands, a new way to, and a better way to fulfill their needs on the telecom side as well, right? So everybody wins.
And how has Amdocs been as a partner in enabling you to bring this dream to reality?
I have to say that I had a lot of support from Amdocs, a lot of support across the journey. I would like to thank I would like to thank Piotr as well. We had a lot of support as well from the executive management of Amdocs across the road. We have a fantastic support from on the ground, from our first line of support, Galin. We had, I could keep naming people. I thank everybody who helped us making this happen, because this has been an incredible journey. And also, I would say that ConnectX as a platform has adjusted to our needs as MVNE, that is going to disrupt the market and bring a lot of MVNOs in a short time span together, which required also hard work on the team on the back end to actually make it happen.
Awesome. It's a great story, Phoebe, a great story. I wish you all the success in the next 12 months. And when we meet again here, 12 months' time, we'll assess everything and look a further 12 months ahead. But in your time at the show so far, what have you seen that's excited you as well? What's been something that you're picking up on already?
You mean from here?
From the whole show.
There were quite a few things that we had seen. I think the most exciting, I went to the startup zone where Ukrainian teams have presented a very interesting solution on the social media, not a social media, but something that addresses, it clearly comes from the war experiences and the fact that they have to flee their country to seek safety. Yeah. They created a network for Swoi, which is like a social network of a different sort, where they just have a support network across the entire European Union or finding people in different places. Oh. Very interesting startup. We will definitely talk to them again, because there is also an area of collaboration there.
Yes.
I was also amazed by what I've seen in the NTT Docomo stand.
Okay.
The resilient connectivity. I think this will be even more interesting, even more challenging with the times that face ahead of us. I believe this is something that will be also very important. I think these are the two, I would say, the major breakthroughs that I've seen.
Now, this podcast is a first so far at this show, and we've spoken for nearly 17 minutes.
Oh my God.
And we haven't said the words generative AI, right?
Yeah, on purpose.
What are your thoughts? How does that play into your story and MVNO?
In our case, we will use generative AI at later stage. What I'm waiting for is the next wave of solutions being commercialized, where we will use it for the customer support.
Yeah.
But first things first. I'm just laser focused on my business in this case. Yeah. And I believe that the first thing that we will do on the customer support is making sure that the product design, the products that we bring to market, do not create a lot of need for support.
Yeah.
With this and with the fantastic team that we already set up in Wrocław, we will establish the operating model that will help and drive the support, and then generative AI will come naturally, because when we have created all these pieces of the puzzle, we will just start using it, commercializing it with the pace that we are running. Mm-hmm. At some point in time, when we find that the business case is justified, we just take it and do it. We'll run with it. Yeah. That's how I would see it. I'm probably on this front lagging behind intentionally, because we are focused somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it will come.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, your story's wonderful. CB.
Thank you very
And we
much.
like to bring the podcast to an end with some fun questions and multiple choice. I don't even know if I gave you a heads up on this.
No,
but be
you did
prepared.
not.
Yeah, we like to surprise our guests with this and throw them at it. So it's called TGI to go. So are you ready for our TGI to go?
Go ahead.
All right. TGI to go. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Sunrise. Yeah, but I picked up quite clearly your love for sailing and the water. But tell us a little bit about that. Just
I would say the world looks better from the side of the sea.
yeah,
Why sunrise? Because it's one of my fond memories from the trip where we were leaving Brest, and we had to wake up at 4 a.m. to catch the tide.
right.
Beautiful sunrise over Brest.
Yeah.
After having a nice dinner on the day before. That's
Yeah.
probably why sunrise is the thing.
And for our listeners, you got a boat to Barcelona. You didn't fly like the rest of us, right? Tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about that.
so what happened is that my shareholder in the MVNE and in an investor in an MVNE and in the new MVNO that we are launching, the Tomek, has a boat, has a motor yacht called Seven.
Yeah.
And when we were moving, he said, okay, since the yacht is already in Monaco and we wanted to rebase it to Mallorca, so he said, why don't we get both things together? And we decided to take it. We had a fantastic crew, also part of this Amdocs, part of this, what I forgot to mention, it's very important, our technology partner, Nexio.
Yeah.
We had the CEO of Nexio as well with us. And we sailed together from Monaco. We expected a smooth ride, as always. It's a typical IT project, actually. Smooth ride, everything's going to be fine. This is the road now. What turned out, there are always challenges. We had some severe weather warnings, so we had to adjust the way we travel and when we travel. But after all, we made it, and everybody made it safely, and the boat is already here. And when we finish Barcelona, we are going to take off and go to Mallorca and hopefully rebase the boat there.
Have a nice time there. Sounds great. Now, you could go for dinner tonight and you could have pierogi or paella.
Pierogi and day.
Yeah, we'll have some
That you
pierogi.
knew.
Yeah, see?
That you knew. Paella is actually Tomek's favorite. He
Yeah.
loved it and we enjoyed it a lot here.
Yeah.
For me, not so much because out of seafood, I only eat fish.
Ah, okay.
So
right.
paella in most cases doesn't work for me. But pierogi any day,
Yeah.
recommended for everyone.
Yeah.
Wide choices, I'm
Absolutely.
sure you experienced.
Of course, pierogi and ushka at Christmas as well, of course. You've heard of ushka?
Ushka,
Yeah, the smaller one.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, that's cool. What excites you most? Connected cars or smart cities?
Neither. When it comes to cars, it's another expensive hobby that I need to work for. I'm doing off-roading, so my car is disconnected. Full stop.
Yeah.
It's a Jeep designed for off-roading. I'm going to Iceland this year for a round trip.
Nice.
So disconnected car in the middle of nowhere, definitely.
Okay, excellent. Now, you could watch a movie tonight. Would you watch a sci-fi movie or a drama?
I would go for sci-fi, dystopian.
Yeah.
But actually, you don't have to do it anymore. You just watch the news, right?
Exactly. Have you seen, and watch the news today for some more tunes on that? It's unbelievable. And I think I know the answer to this one. Your vacation, mind you, you've spoken about two here. Would you rather be on a beach or in the mountains?
Oh. Why can't you have both?
You can have both.
But that's the Iceland, right? Mountains on the beach.
Yeah. Where I grew up, there was a mountain and a beach, so it does coexist.
But to be fair, when I was living in Jamaica, I was lucky enough to live on the Blue Mountain, on the side of the Blue Mountain with the view of the entire Kingston town. Beautiful sunsets, probably the best sunsets I have ever experienced in my life.
Yeah.
And beautiful sunrises as well with hummingbirds in my garden.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. Listen, Zibi, it's been wonderful speaking to you today. Do you have any last words you'd like to leave with our listeners before we sign off?
I would I'd say two things. First of all, thank you, and thank you Amdocs as well, and Amdocs team for all the support and arranging all of this.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the journey, and this is just the big end of the beginning, as we discussed. And I think we have a lot of exciting projects ahead of us. The second thing that I would like to say is that when you believe in something, do not give up. When I had my project stop in the tracks because of the failure of the platform that I was trying to integrate to, I decided to go forward and actually created something even greater than just one MVNO. And I think this is something that drives me forward. This is something that I believe you need to follow your dream. But get it right first. Go on the sea. In the middle of the sea, you will find your dream and you'll find your inspiration.
That's inspirational itself, just the story. Thank you very much, Sibi. It's been great having you here today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So thank you, Stephanie and Zibi, for taking the time with us here at MWC. I know your this week is spectacularly busy, so thank you for taking the time out to speak to me, have fantastic conversations. It really was great. Thank you very much. Now, for all of you, if you like that episode, please rate and review. It certainly helps us. Subscribe to our podcast on all your favorite renowned podcast channels. And if you're still catching up with all the episodes, there's been over 100 now, from the journey of the Great Indoors. They're all available on amdocs.com/The Great Indoors, along with a cornucopia of video assets and other materials to support the story so far. So not long left to go now in Barcelona. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. I'm Matt Roberts for Amdocs in Barcelona, and have a great day wherever you are.